It's the most humbling video of the year where credibility is thrown straight out the window. It's time we react to my original League One predictions. Let's go. I must say, before we start, over 60% of the people that watch this podcast on a regular basis aren't yet subscribed. If that's one of you, please make sure you change that. We're on the road to 10,000 subscribers. Let's begin with 24th. Carlisle United finished in rock bottom. 21st is where I had them at the start of the season, so not bad, only 3 places out. Should we celebrate, Carlisle fans? I doubt it. I doubt that's worth celebrating. Only won 7 games this season, lost 30 out of a possible 46. They stuck with Paul Simpson, the only team to be relegated in League One and to not sack their manager. I think he had enough credit in the bank from their League 2 promotion campaign last time around. Never really came together, never really clicked, not many great moments. I look back to Bolton away as their only one, but it just was really bad. You look at their ownership and they have got investment, and we expect League 2 to be a really good one with the amount of money they're looking to spend. They tried to do it in January, but it was too little too late, and when you try and integrate too many players, it can actually make things worse. I don't think they got worse. In fact, Carlisle got better when their relegation was confirmed. So, what does that say about the mentality of the group? I don't know. In terms of prediction, I had them 21st of the summer. They finished in 24th. In 23rd, of course, finished Port Vale. I had them in 16th. And at one point, I thought 16th was going to be giving them a disservice. They had a really good start to the season, but 7 places out. It's not a great prediction. They had Darren Moore and Andy Crosby. Of course, Darren Moore came in for the latter stages of the season. Did that really work? Did they really improve? I don't think so. Signed a long-term contract, but we're talking about a group that needed lifting, and Darren Moore, as a tactician, I'm not convinced. As somebody who can lift a group and be a really good traditional man manager, I think he's got all of those credentials. He couldn't really do it with that group. I look back at a really important part of the season for Port Vale, and that was the January transfer window. They didn't sign a striker, and they really needed to. They probably needed about 2 or 3, and they just didn't recruit well. I look back at their summer, I thought their recruitment was pretty good. In January, I thought it was dreadful, and when you look at points in a season that can relegate a team, January is a really big standout. Not a good prediction. 7 places out. I had them in 16th before the first ball was kicked. They finished relegated in 23rd place. Fleetwood Town finished in 22nd place. I had them in 18th at the start of the season, so only 4 places out. Numerically, not a bad prediction, but they were relegated, and I didn't have them to be relegated, so I think that has to go down as a pretty bad one. They've been through 3 managers. Started the season with Scott Brown, moved to Lee Johnson, finished with Charlie Adam. Nappers has been documenting quite brilliantly across the campaign how turgid it's been. It's been very tough for him. He kept coming back to a team that were doing the wrong things at the wrong time. In the big moments, they were getting it wrong, both in a chance creation, chance conversion sense, and defensively. In the big moments within games and the season, they were getting it wrong. And when you do that time and time again, you're going to be down there. 3 managers couldn't get this team to click. And it's been so frustrating, I think, since that relegation has been confirmed, or when it was all but mathematically confirmed. They played really well. They played a really good brand of football, and maybe that is Charlie Adams starting to implement his style, but it could also be that squad that's been playing so within themselves all season, now showing that with a bit of confidence, they're a decent side, and they have got a decent squad. It wasn't a squad that I had them, I had in 22nd at the start of the season, or even relegated, and I think Nappers said that at the start of the season before it all kicked off. This squad should not be down there, but it has been. So a lot of things to look at. Personalities that maybe were moved out in January that were not good for that dressing room and for that squad. A big League 2 season for them. Yeah, as predictions go though, 4 places out, like I said, mathematically not bad, but I did have them to stay up, and they were unable to stay in League 1. Cheltenham Town finished in 21st. I had them in 19th, so only 2 places out. Not bad. Really, not too bad. Similar to Fleetwood in the fact that numerically 2 places is pretty good, but I did have them to stay up and they didn't. They were relegated and will be playing in League 2 next season. I wasn't convinced with Wade Elliott going into the season. Alfie May, losing him, I thought was going to be a gigantic blow, and on reflection, both were proved right, which is a rarity when you look at some of the predictions coming up and some we've had so far. the start of the season was so bad, and when I did my roundup on the final day and spoke about Charlton's relegation, I said that final day doesn't relegate them, although mathematically it does. The way they started the season is the reason why they've been relegated. Darrell Clark, to give them a sniff of relegation survival hope, I think shows just how well he's done. So, not a bad prediction. Disappointed for Cheltenham. I think they need to really improve that structure off the pitch and start operating as a side that want to be in League One for more than 3 seasons, which on its own is a fantastic achievement, by the way. It's come to an end. I expect them to be back. As predictions go, 2 spots out. It's not bad. Burton Albion finished in 20th. I had them in 13th. A dreadful prediction. 7 places out. I've got this annoying thing with Burton. Every year, I put them low down, I think, and they go and prove me wrong. The one season I believe in the Albion, they finish in 20th, where I've been putting them for so many years. 7 places out, Burton Albion. Only won 12 games, lost 24 out of 46. The final day, they lost 3-0. They easily could have been relegated. Still not totally convinced on Patterson, to be honest. We'll wait and see. He just about kept them up, even though he did come in and they were outside the relegation zone when he was appointed, so he has kept them up. He's withstood that relegation battle that he's been a part of with Burton, but like I said, I worry about the longevity of that. They have stayed in the league. It's been a very poor season. I think they've been one of the luckiest teams this season, especially during the latter stages. To lose 3-0 on the final day when you not had to win, but winning was going to mathematically keep you up regardless of other results. To lose 3-0 in that game against the team that were already relegated in Fleetwood, I think is, well, it's very lucky. I think it's quite grim, to be honest. They've stayed in the league. I had them in 13th. They finished in 20th. 7 places out. As predictions go, it's not great. Shrewsbury Town finished in 19th. I had them relegated in 22nd, so they did prove me wrong. I had them in that bottom 4, 3 places out. I thought for a large part of the season, that prediction was going to be about right. I thought they were in a false position for a large part of the campaign. They were getting very lucky within games. The brand of football was dire. Eventually, a bad run. Matt Taylor was sacked, and fan favourite Paul Hurst was reappointed, and he did really lift that. Group performances were better, and the results were better too. Shrewsbury, it could have been much worse. My prediction would have been much worse, but they finished in 19th, and that's, based on a large chunk of the season, a really good spot to finish in, because relegation did look very, very likely at one point. Finished in 19th. They had them in 22nd. Not a dreadful prediction, but of course, I had them relegated, and they were not relegated. Cambridge United finished in 18th. I had them in 24th. I had them bottom, 6 places out. Not a good prediction. Sorry, Cambridge United. I mean, look, it hasn't been a phenomenal season. It hasn't been phenomenal, but Cambridge staying in the league is really important, and they've done that. They've had some very tricky obstacles to face. Mark Bonner was sacked, a fan of Cambridge United, a really good coach, somebody who I really liked. There's a running joke for a long time. I did love Mark Bonner. I thought he's going to be, I think he still will be, a really good manager, a real fan favourite, a fan of Cambridge, and he did a really good job, but he did lose his job. Then Neil Harris came in, moved to Millwall, but he did improve them in the meantime. And then Gary Monk came in. And Gary Monk, in the grand scheme of things, has done a pretty decent job. But as predictions go, it's not great, is it? 6 places out, and I had them bottom, and they were not bottom. Reading finished in 17th. I had them in 8th. So 9 places out. Not a good prediction, but I think we should be able to cut some slack, because point deductions have made this quite difficult to judge. Also, we did these predictions when they signed Sam Smith and Harvey Nibbs in the same week. And at that point, I thought financially, we were going to see a real boost in Reading. I thought they were sort of starting to sort themselves out, and they were going to give this season a really good go. And on reflection, still a very good season in hindsight, based on what we had and what we knew as the campaign progressed. So, I mean, look, I was 9 places out. It's not a good prediction. It's not going to do the final difference any favours, but multiple unpredictable circumstances across the season, and a prediction that was done when they were starting to, in my eyes, I thought, sort themselves out, wasn't to be. Look, hard to predict, hard to react to as well. But it was 9 places, and that final difference is still not going to look very pretty, and that doesn't help things. Charlton finished in 16th. I had them in 6th. Wow, what a prediction. 10 places out, the worst prediction of the year. Charlton fans, they're going to be fed up of League One, and they're going to have to deal with it again. Another League One season to forget for them. I think they are starting now to get on the right track under Nathan Jones. I think that will come good. I think it's a good appointment, very good appointment for this level. I like what he's about. He's definitely somebody who gets Charlton, and there's been previous managers. In fact, his predecessor in Michael Appleton, who didn't get Charlton. Dean Holden started the season really badly, but last season that looked okay. A good summer, and that's why I had them in 6th. I thought their summer window was good. Alfie May's a fantastic player. I thought Kamara was somebody who was going to lift Charlton Athletic. He was injured for so much of the season. That didn't work out. I thought they had all the ingredients to give this season a really good go. Give them a really good promotion push at Charlton, and that didn't really ever happen. So, a bad prediction, a bad season, but I do think if we're going to find some positive to come out of this, not the prediction, but Charlton's season, next season under Nathan Jones, I think will be far better. Although maybe, for Charlton fans' sake and the fear of jinxing them, I'll put them around mid-table and then they can prove me wrong. Because I think I've had Charlton in the top 6 for the last 3 years, and they have not been near the top 6 for the last 3 years. So, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it, but I think they are on the right track under Nathan Jones. Bristol Rovers finished in 15th. Not much to say on this one. I had them in 11th. Look, 4 places out. Not the best, not the worst, but it's been a mid-table season, and Matt Taylor came in, replaced Joe Barton. Have they really improved? I'm not sure. I'm not sure they have improved, to be honest. The end of the season did not help their final position. They've been dreadful, maybe because they've been on the beach. They were safe in relegation for a long time, not looking to finish in that top 6 for a very long time. Hence why I think the players were just not that bothered. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that they were just being coached badly, and we'll wait until next season. Nappers has been saying for quite a long time. End of season badly, very risky going into the new one. We'll wait and see on Rovers. Had them in 11th, finished in 15th, 4 places out. Not the worst, not the best. Northampton finished in 14th. I got them all wrong. I had them in 20. Northampton finished in 14th, a phenomenal season, and I got them all wrong. 23rd, I had them in the summer, 9 places out. My second worst prediction of the year. They've had a great season. Mark Leonard on loan from Brighton stands out for me. I mean, as always, Hoskins has been a fantastic player. He was great in League 2. He stepped up in League 1 and did a fantastic job. Kieran Bowie's been very, very good. They've had a really, really quite fantastic season, and I almost compare them to the season when we had sort of Cheltenham and Cambridge hovering around that position, and teams were just falling for them in terms of they were a banana skin team, didn't quite understand what to expect. They surprised teams, and they believed in their own abilities and played with that almost nothing to lose mentality in a way. And look, they had a lot to lose, of course. They believed they believed they were going to stay up. Of course they did. They're professional footballers and professional footballing staff. They believe in what they're about to do, and they would have been very, very clever in the way they approach the season to give themselves the best opportunity to stay in the league. But they were playing with that freedom, and that in your first season in a new division is very, very helpful. A great season. Finished in 14th. They got them all wrong. Had them in 23rd. 9 places out. Exeter finished in 13th. I had them in 14th, so only 1 place out. Not a bad prediction at all. At one point, looked like I'd undercooked them. Next minute, I'd overcooked them. So we come to the end of the season, and we got it just about right. Gary Colbert at one point I thought was going to lose his job, but they were very, very loyal. They put a statement out saying we're going to back him in January, trust him, believe in his abilities and what he's done prior. They did do that. Financially, they did back him. They did bring him the players. Lots of risk attached to that, because if that still doesn't work out, the new manager has got a lot of players he didn't really want and weren't his players. But Gary Caldwell, he did repay that trust. He did a really good job. The end of the season was very good. 9 games unbeaten. On the road, a fantastic, fantastic run. Really impressed with Exeter, and really impressed, I'd say humbly, with my prediction. I had them in 14th, they finished in 13th. Wigan finished in 12th, I had them in 20th, so 8 places out. Not great, not great. My main thinking there was point deduction going into the season. I thought they were going to take time in getting to 0 points, but still climbing their way out of trouble. And I did have them to stay in the league. I got a lot of stick, and I thought I was going to be okay. I wasn't okay. And in the end, it's a great season, considering they started the season with -8 points. So, look, Sean Maloney has done a really good job. A phenomenal job, actually, and he won't get spoken about enough because he's not the most glamorous. He's not an Ian Evatt. He's not a John Mousinho. He's not somebody of that ilk, and he really should be compared to those, because when you look at a -8 deduction at the start of the season, to get them on 0 points so quickly as well, I think there was almost that work, a mental work of getting onto level points. They did that, and then they almost relaxed a little bit too much, and there was a bit of a blip in that period. But the end of the season has been really good. They've got a really good squad there. I think they've been sometimes in League One going up too quickly, and that's cost them. I think a 12th place finish, very literally mid-table, but a lot of circumstances going into the season that could have made this very different. I think it's a really good season. Got the prediction all wrong. Apologies, you've proved me very wrong, Wigan. I had you in 20th, you finished in 12th. Newly promoted Leyton Orient finished in 11th place. I had them in 15th, so as predictions go, not bad, only 4 places out. As seasons go, fantastic, and that's where the credit is due. I've been so impressed with Richie Wellens, Leyton Orient, their recruitment, the way they've played as well. They've been very, very stubborn, but in a good way, in the way they approach football matches. In League 2, very possession-based. In League 1, very possession-based. I like that. I really like the way they believed in their abilities and believed in their principles. And when you do that, long-term, there's sustainability. Teams sometimes come up and go, right, we're going to have to change the way we approach games because these teams are better. And of course, they are better. But if you believe in what you can do, and you believe in your squad, and you recruit intelligently, and that's what they have done, they're going to be in a really good spot. And they were in a good spot. They finished the season in a really good spot. So 11th for Leyton Orient. I had them in 15th. Just signed Richie Wellens down to a longer term contract amongst lots of speculation, which I think is really important too, going into the summer and next season. A really good season. And as predictions go, it's not bad. Wycombe Wanderers finished in 10th, and I had them in exactly 10th at the start of the season. The first and potentially last prediction that's exactly right. Keep watching. There could be more. Could be. But it's really, really encouraging to see where this Wycombe team is trying to get to. And Bloomfield and his Wycombe side have ended the season extremely strongly. They look in really good shape going into the next campaign, and we've always said that there's going to be a transition period. There's a huge stylistic change. You cannot compare a Wycombe side under Ainsworth compared to a side managed by Bloomfield. They have such different methods, different ideas. It's going to take time to adjust. You're recruiting differently. You're looking at players and their profiles in completely different ways. So, look, it's not a top 6 finish, and Wycombe have been in and around that top 6 for the past few years. It wasn't that campaign, but they are building. And when you go from playing extremely direct, almost Route 1, defensively based, to being a bit more expansive, committing a few bodies going forward, playing a better brand of football, eventually that is going to click, and we're starting to see it click. A bit of a shame that Wycombe saw it click and the games almost ran out, but there's definitely building blocks there. There's definitely areas to be encouraged with. So as predictions go, very happy. 0 when it comes to the difference. Exactly 10th place in the summer. Of course, they finished in 10th place. Stevenage finished in 9th place. I had them in 17th, so a 8 difference there. It's not great. One of my worst predictions, but very impressed with Stevenage. Of course, the end of their season was very, very different. We didn't expect to see Steve Evans leave the football club, but looking at his time in charge, he did a fantastic job. He got them into League One initially, and he got them competing for a large part of the season. They were in and around that top 6. At one point, I think a lot of people thought they wouldn't drop off. They were consistently grinding out results at some very difficult places, home and away, and finding ways to win. There's a very, very clear principle there. It was, not very attractive at all times. It was very pragmatic at points. It was very direct, but it was working. And they've got a really, really strong squad there that knew exactly the way that Steve Evans wanted to play, and it was working, like I said, to a very, very high level. And they were in those really quite encouraging places at the top end of the table. A slight drop off. Steve Evans, of course, has now gone to Rotherham. He'll be a League One manager next season now that they've been relegated from the Championship. Where does that leave Stevenage? Who are they going to appoint? I'm not entirely sure, but as predictions go, I got it wrong. I got them in 17th. I thought they would stay up. Their recruitment in the summer was good, and when you could now really see the way that they wanted to play, it aligned perfectly. Not a great prediction. 8 places out. A good season for Stevenage, a really good season. Intrigued to see where it goes next time with a new manager. That's for another time. But again, we'll wait and see. Prediction-wise, not great though. In 8th place, of course, was Blackpool. I had them inside the top 6. I thought Neil Critchley, League One, Blackpool, when you're constructing that top 6 before the first ball is kicked, you have to have Blackpool in there. And they just never really clicked, never really got there. Look, they played some really good football at times. They had some really good results. But when you look at their season graph as it's progressed, they're probably around 8th, maybe 9th and 7th at different points, because they've just not quite got it. They're not quite there yet. Away from home, they've been dire. They're a bottom half team on the road, and you can't expect to finish in the top places if you're so bad away. At home, some really good results. They're a top 6 team at home, but away, they're, I think, around 14th or 15th, which is just not good enough. And going forward at times, they've been really quite toothless. Defensively, on the whole, they've been good, but you just can't quite trust them away, and you can't quite trust them in certain games. They're very, very inconsistent. So, yeah, it just hasn't quite worked. It hasn't quite worked. End of the season, I thought they were going to put together a really good run, and they did do that, but they just, it was too little too late. I got them in 5th. They finished in 8th. As predictions go, yeah, not great, but we've seen worse. And I think Blackpool fans at the start of the season probably would have agreed with me. You put all of those different ingredients together, the Neil Critchley concept, and what he's done with Blackpool in League One before, I think there was a real hope that they could achieve top 6 football, but it's not been the case. Let's see where they end up next season. Just missing out on the playoffs was, of course, Lincoln City. They finished in 7th. I had them in 12th. So 5 places out. Not great. Not a great prediction. I was impressed with Lincoln City and their recruitment on the whole in the summer. I thought they'd done really well. I thought Mark Kennedy was going to kick on from a good season. A good first full season as Lincoln manager, but that didn't happen. A really, really bad run. They didn't win a game in, I think, 3 months. It was a very, very difficult position to be in as a Lincoln City supporter, and Jake was documenting that very well on Teal Up through the season. As much as he wasn't smiling at the time, he was doing a fantastic job of telling me how bad it was. And then it clicked. Sugubala came in and they played a completely different way. It was quite chaotic but brilliant. A different brand, one that took time. And it clicked. It really did click. They had a really good January transfer window, made some really clever acquisitions. But they just fell short on the final day. It was in their hands going into the last game of the season. They lost the champions, Pompey, and they just didn't quite do it. If you change the start of the season and how badly that was, just a few of those results, of course, mathematically, they'd be in there because their second half of this year was really, really good. And Sugubala should take a lot of credit for that. I'm intrigued to see where they're going to be next season. I'm very encouraged. Plenty to build on. The right recruitment, and of course a really good manager, an exciting young coach in Sugubala. I think the sky could be the limit. But I've got them in 12th. In the summer, they finished in 7th. So as predictions go, well, it's not great. In 6th place, of course, was Barnsley. I had them in 9th, so 3 places out. I remember thinking, losing Michael Duff, huge blow, missing out on promotion, getting to a playoff final, the hangover of that, what were the effects going to be. Wasn't impressed with their recruitment. That felt a little bit off. Off the field issues weren't looking great. Neil Collins, didn't know too much about him. And that was maybe naive, but in the end, you look at his time, did he ever really sort of nail down a style of play? Not sure. Did he ever gain consistency? Maybe in the middle, but that's not consistent. If you can't start the season or end the season or end his tenure well, you haven't been consistent, right? I thought Barnsley have deserved to be in the top 6 based on some good performances in there. and they are going to be heading into the playoffs as underdogs without a manager. Interesting timing, but I get it, the run and the winless run was poor. As predictions go, 3 places out, didn't see them finishing in the top 6. They just about did it. I'm not unhappy with that prediction, but they did do better than I expected, so fair play to them. In 5th place, I'm delighted to say, Oxford United. I had them in 7th in the summer, so 2 places out for my own team, 2 places. I'll take that. I will take that. Far worse in previous years. I mean, last season when we finished in the... Well, we were in a relegation battle, weren't we? Finished around 19th. I didn't have them that low. So to be back on track this season as a prediction and just generally a season, I'm really happy. I was encouraged with the summer. I was encouraged with what Liam Manning was building. He left us, but Des Buckingham has come in, and look, it's been a bit up and down. It hasn't been all smooth sailing, but he has got us in 5th. He's got us in that top 6. And when we looked at where we were last season, sometimes we forget. I think we should be really grateful of that. I think we should be really grateful of it. We are definitely on the right track. We're recruiting much better. We've got a much better squad, and there's now a style of play that's being implemented. And Des Buckingham took his time, but he had to take his time transitioning personally and professionally. Great work in other continents, never done it in England. It was going to require patience, and we have now, hopefully, whatever happens in the playoffs, started to be rewarded for giving him those patience as fans, but also I think the players had to do that as well. Whatever happens in the playoffs, let's hope for something special, but we're looking purely at this league table. 2 places out, much better season, and not a bad prediction either. I'll take that. I definitely will take that. Peterborough finished in 4th. I had them in 3rd, so only the 1 place out. I'll take that. Not a bad prediction. 1 spot from being perfect. I looked at their summer window. I thought Archie Collins was such an intelligent pickup, a great replacement for Taylor, who joined Ipswich. I looked at the players they retained in Ronnie Edwards. We always feel as though he's going to leave, and maybe this summer he does leave, but they kept hold of him last summer, and that proved really, really helpful. He's a great player. One of the best centre-backs in the division. Keeping hold of that is always ideal, isn't it? I thought their squad was young but hungry. I thought Darren Ferguson, again, he's a very good manager at this level. He knows his level extremely well. I got them in 3rd, 1 place lower, of course, in reality, but a good prediction, a good season for Peterborough. Hopefully not too good in the playoffs. We'll have to wait and see. But I got them in 3rd. They finished in 4th. In 3rd place, of course, was Bolton Wanderers, just missing out on the top 2. I had them in 4th, so just the 1 place out. And I'll take that. I will definitely take that, because it was risky not putting them in the top 2. I essentially just swapped Peterborough and Bolton round. I thought Bolton were very, very unlucky not to be put in my top 2. I just felt there were 2 squads slightly better and in slightly better shape. And again, I'm just saying, I got pretty right on that front. But for a large point in the season, I thought Bolton were going to get in the top 2. They just struggled with that consistency. We spoke about Bolton all season being on their day one of, if not the best side in the league. Footballing wise, it's a very, very good brand. But if you can't do it on a consistent basis, home and away, find ways to win, grind teams down when they set up in a frustrating fashion, you're not going to finish in those top places. I mean, 3rd's pretty high up, but I'm talking the upper echelons, the top 2. So at Bolton, they're going to be looking for revenge in the playoffs, playing Barnsley first, and they're going to be hungry. They would have learnt a lot from last season. We speak about lessons being learnt. I imagine, and I hope for Bolton's sake, they have learnt those lessons. We'll wait and see. They finished in 3rd. I got them in 4th. 1 place out. Not bad. Good luck in the playoffs tonight. As of recording, you've about to kick off against Barnsley. We'll wait and see how that first leg goes. But they're going to be looking for revenge. They just missed out on the top 2. And as predictions go, I'll probably take that. In 2nd place, of course, was Derby County. I had them as my league winners. I had them in 1st. So I got them the wrong way round. I got Pompey and Derby the wrong way round. In fact, I got my top 4 right in terms of the teams, but not in the right position, which is totally the point of the video. Derby, I thought this could have been a disastrous prediction with the way that it started, but as we know, Paul Warne, as soon as he's implemented his style, they become a winning machine. Winning becomes a habit, and when that does become a habit, you're going to finish in the top places. They found ways to win games of football. They were very, very good at getting a run together, becoming unstoppable. It started badly, it started slowly. I thought the recruitment was great. I did a video on Derby before the season started. I spoke about Paul Warne knowing the league like nobody else, his charisma, his character. I think he's great, and he did it. He got them out of League One, and that's a huge achievement. Prediction-wise, 1 place out. Look, it's not the end of the world. I've had much worse. I've had teams in the top 2 before that have been nowhere near the top 2, so in hindsight, I should be pleased with it. Derby fans should be extremely pleased with their season. They finished in second. I had them first. I don't think they're going to be too worried, though. I'll be honest, I think they're going to be absolutely fine with promotion back to the Championship. As we know, our champions were Portsmouth. I had them in second place. I didn't quite have the nerve to put John Mousinho as a league-winning manager in his first full season as a manager, but there we go. I stand corrected along with quite a few people. But really, I mean, so impressed with Portsmouth. I've done so much content on them and how well they've done. I did a video on how they won the league, and check that out if you haven't already. We broke down how well they've done, how they've got to this point, why they're playing Championship football next season. They've been so consistent, fantastic recruitment, a really good brand of football as well. Mentality monsters, I could go on. They finished in first. I got them in second as predictions go. Not too bad. Delighted for Pompey, finally out of League One, back in the Championship where they feel they belong and, based on this season, where they deserve to be going. Not a bad prediction. Didn't quite have the balls to put them in first, but I think they're going to be fine with first. In the real table, I've got a feeling they're going to take that. So, yeah, congratulations again to Portsmouth, our League One winners. So there we go, my original predictions that I did back in the summer, reacted to some stinkers in there. As always, every year there's a few howlers. As the positions got higher, better. Relegation-wise, not so good. Let me know what you thought of my predictions in the comment section down below. Most importantly, who surprised you this season? Please make sure you leave a like and subscribe. Until next time, I've been Jack. This has been the Jack Ward Football Podcast, and I will see you very, very soon. Not as bad as I thought, actually.